I'm going to develop the tangent and cotangent graph based on the table. If you remember in the unit circle, your x and y is cosine t, sine t. So your y's are with the sine and your x's go with the cosine. Now to find out the tangent, it's y over x or sine over cosine. So this is going to be 0, 1, and undefined. I'm only finding out these because I don't want to deal with graphing radicals. Cotangent are the reciprocals, so this is going to be undefined. Reciprocal of 1 is 1, and this becomes 0. 0 divided by 1 is 0. Now I want to graph these on the tangent graph, so I'm looking at 0, 0 is 1 point. Go to the next one, pi over 4, 1. And the third point is undefined at pi over 2. Undefined means I'm going to draw an asymptote at pi over 2. Similarly, at negative pi over 2, that's going to come down here. Again, your y over x, you're still talking about undefined, so again, you have an asymptote at negative pi over 2. And if I looked at negative pi over 4, down here, you're going to see that that's equal to a negative 1. It's reflected down, and you know that it's negative because the cosine is positive. So I'm looking at negative 1 and negative pi over 4. This is going to be a graph that gets closer to the asymptotes but doesn't intersect the asymptotes. As that continues. Graphing the cotangent graph, 0 and undefined means that this is not defined at 0. I go to pi over 4, and pi over 4 is at 1. Pi over 2 is 0. And if I were to look at 3 pi over 4, which is here, it's a reflection over and it's negative, I know it's going to equal a negative 1. And at 0, the tangent at 0 is 0 over negative 1, the cotangent is negative 1 over 0, which is undefined at pi over 2. So you're going to have another asymptote right here at pi over 2, and therefore this graph is going to go through those points again and not intersect the asymptotes. Now, both of these graphs are going to continue in the same fashion as you go to the right or to the left, and the period on both of them is going to be equal to pi, which is different than the sine and cosine, which was 2 pi. So very important to realize on the general graphs that the period is equal to pi.